Welcome back to Prout Rev. I'm going to do a review now of a movie that just came out. It's called Planet of the Humans. It's the latest Michael Moore movie, which he produced, but actually it was directed and narrated by Jeff Gibb. So I really enjoyed this film. I know that it got a lot of pushback from the environmental community. They didn't like the positions that the film took on where the environmental movement stands right now, and is it effective what the environmental movement is calling for. But I found some interesting parallels to PROUT that I think would be interesting for both people in the mainstream environmental movement and, of course, people who agree with Jeff Gibb. So let's start with progress. As you may know, PROUT stands for Progressive Utilization Theory. And so PROUT has a very specific definition for what is real progress. And one thing that cannot be real progress is physical progress. And the director was finding many, many examples of that. For example, the Joshua Tree. The Joshua Tree was mentioned in the film, how the Mojave Desert is this prime location to have solar plants, to build solar arrays and solar panels. And they had to tear down Joshua trees that are 1,000 years old, 500 years old, trees that are already even suffering due to global warming. But it showed just that example how, yes, it's great to have the solar panels and we need the renewable energy, but you see, this is a side effect. These Joshua trees have to be taken down. There was also a montage in the film showing the different ingredients that go into making solar panels and wind turbines. One of the ingredients is cobalt. And there was some graphic scenes in the documentary of the children in Africa who have to mine the cobalt. And so when we buy solar panels, we don't think about that, what had to happen in order for this item to be produced. There's always some negative side effects that take place. There's a man named Vinod, I believe his last name is Khosla, a Silicon Valley billionaire. And he invented or has this company that's producing clean green gasoline. And it sounds great, right? Because some of the ingredients that go into making it are wood chips. And so a reporter asks him, all right, this is great, but what are the side effects? And he said, there are no side effects. And it's just laughable because these capitalists are so delusional, or sometimes people can be delusional when they think that some sort of physical progress is not going to have a side effect. Of course, there's a side effect there. You have to cut down all these trees in order to get the wood chips. There's another parallel to PROUT where he looks at this place in Vermont where there's a company that was creating some wind energy factory. Maybe they were making wind turbines. I don't remember. But in order to build their factory, they had to cut down this big part of forest. And the local people were really happy that there was some renewable energy industry in there making these items. But they felt bad because this is the place where they used to go hiking. This is the place where they used to go camping. And so they also didn't like the fact that this company, who is called Green Mountain Power, they were going to be bought by Gas Metro. And Gas Metro is owned by Enbridge, which is a company from Canada. And a company that wanted to build the XL pipeline. So PROUT would look at this and say, no. You cannot have outsiders come to a local community and try to create a business and then none of those profits are going to stay in the local area. Of course, corporations come from the outside. And yeah, they're going to make things and even be willing to cut down forests that they have no emotional connection to. I'll give you another example too. In Daggett, California, there was a solar array plant. And obviously, it was a corporation that, was not from the local area. And so they set up shop there. And they only lasted a few years. And when they left, they left the place intact with all of the solar arrays in the desert. And now, like, that glass is broken, it's littered the area, everything is still there, nobody has cleaned it up and moved it out. Of course not, because the people who own that plant, they don't care about the local area. It didn't go well for them monetarily or whatever, and so they just leave, and whatever happens to the people there or to the local area, all of these after effects, they could care less about that. Now, there was some mentioning in the film about human beings having a lack of self-restraint, and that's also in line with Prout. Prout believes that people should, or especially leaders, should follow cardinal human values. And one of these cardinal human values is to live simply. There's a Sanskrit term for that in the world of yoga called aparigraha. And what it basically means is that we should live simply and not indulge in material comforts that are superfluous to the preservation of life. So the director's kind of making that claim that it's not enough just to have, renewable energy sources, but that human beings have to kind of all around believe that less is more, and that if we consume less, if our environmental impact is less, we're going to be able to survive for longer. We're going to be able to make the world a better place and make the world a better place and habitable for future generations. In fact, there's a beautiful quote in the movie where the director says, "We human beings must accept that infinite growth on a finite planet is suicide." You can't just expect that in a finite world that you don't share the resources, or you don't think about how things affect future generations. There's only so many things that are available to all. Okay, and the last point that I think is in line with Prout, in fact, very much in line with Prout, is toward the end, the director says, the merger of capitalism and environmentalism is now complete. To the extent that, in fact, Earth Day is actually now a day that is funded by corporations when they have, annual concerts and things like that. The same corporations that pollute the environment, that use fossil fuel. And so I thought it was a very astute claim, basically saying that the environmentalists have now partnered with the capitalists, because the capitalists see a financial gain in investing in renewable energy. So they're building solar panels, they're using wind energy. Google, Apple, they love to say, oh, our company is run by 100% renewable energy, all of which is false, because the film showed many instances in which you might have solar panels set up, but if it rains, now you got to go back to the grid because the batteries only hold a very, very small amount of the energy from the sun. So you're still connected to the grid, you're still using fossil fuels, and it's a lie whenever you hear 100% renewable energy, this company runs on that, this college runs on that, this concert was run on that. It's not true. The film shows that. So, but nonetheless, the capitalists have seen financial gains in this new industry, and they are heavily invested. From the banks to the Koch brothers, to car companies, the film shows that. And in Prout, we have this notion of the different archetypes of society, the different classes. So one of them is the workers, another one are the warriors, another one are the intellectuals, and then you have the capitalists. And so this is a classic case where the capitalist class has subjugated the intellectual class. It has brought them in to create these renewable energy sources, and now is going to massively capitalize on them at the expense of all of the side effects that are being created. And so again, we see an example of one class being dominant over the other, and in this case, the capitalists over the intellectuals. the intellectuals being the environmentalists and the capitalists being the billionaires. And the director has another quote that just sums that up perfectly. He says, "We, the environmentalists, have to take our movement back from the billionaires and their permanent war on planet Earth. They are not our friends." And that is awesome because it's true. The capitalist class is so oppressive and in control of everything in our society that they also have co-opted, that they co-opt the intellectual class time and time again to make things that only make the capitalists rich. So I find all these points to be very astute. I don't see them in any way negating the environmentalist movement, although, yes, there are people who've probably built up their careers promoting renewable energy like solar panels and wind energy. But it was just sort of a reminder of the side effects. And I think it is very well placed in this current discussion of the Green New Deal and the environmentalist movement. So definitely check out the film and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about these PROUT topics that relate to the film. Thanks for watching Prout Rev, and I'll see you next time.